Hello everyone, Happy New Year! Today we're going to be jumping back into Timeless with a Jund deck. Now Jund was a very popular deck type. It's focused on having a lot of big value, so let's just talk a little bit about what we're trying to do here. So starting in the low end of our deck, I feel like a lot of our choices could be explained by the fact that we are including Tarmogoyf as one of our big threats here. Now, since Tarmogoyf's power and toughness is equal to the number of card types among cards in all graveyards, and its toughness is just one bigger than that, we do want to be getting a bunch of different types of cards in the graveyard. Instant sorcery creatures, lands, planeswalkers, enchantments, and artifacts, all of which are available in this deck. So we do have 2 copies of Mishra's Bauble here. This gives us a little insight into what either us or our opponent's drawing, since we could do some interesting things with fetch lands to swap up our library, or we can get an idea of what our opponent has going on, and this will just cycle for a card, but more importantly gets an artifact in the graveyard for Tarmogoyf. We have 2 copies of Fatal Push. Fatal Push is going to be turned on via Revolt, which we can get with Mishra's Bauble or our fetch lands, as well as with some of our other creatures dying. Now, 3 copies of Thoughtseize to disrupt our opponent's hand. This is a sorcery speed spell, good to have in the graveyard, great disruption for our opponent, so that's really nice to see as well. Now we have 4 copies of Lightning Bolt. This is some pretty premium removal here. It's going to deal with a lot of early creature threats. It's going to put some pressure on our opponents with damage, so that's also going to be pretty strong for us. 3 copies of Ragavan, no need for the 4 here. This is great to dash out on turn 2, could be a really strong turn 1 as well, but often we are going to want to be using Thoughtseize before Ragavan if we have the choice, but definitely going to be worth it to have a Ragavan in our deck. Now we have 4 copies of Deathrite Shaman. This is a really powerful card, gives us a ton of options, and playing in Jund, we can use all of its abilities. We get some additional pressure towards our opponent's life total with black, we have some additional sustain using green and exiling creatures for life, and then we can also exile lands for mana. Now Deathrite Shaman is a little bit of an anti-synergy with Tarmogoyf, so we do have to be careful there, but this is a very powerful card and definitely worth including. Now we do have the 4 copies of Tarmogoyf, we know what that does, and we also have 4 copies of Orcish Bowmasters. Really powerful card here, gonna be really great for us. We can use it to deal very cleanly with Ragavans, with Dragon Rage Channelers, with other 1 toughness creature threats. We can use it in response to card draw to get some extra damage triggers. Very powerful card. Up in the 3 mana slot, we've got Liliana the Veil. This will give us the Planeswalker in our graveyard if our opponent manages to remove this. And then, of course, the discard is going to be good to have. Having our opponent sacrifice a creature is also going to be powerful. And then if we ever get that -6 ability, that's game ending. So this is a threat that our opponent has to deal with. Fable of the Mirror Breaker is really strong for us as well. It gives us that Goblin Shaman, going to give us treasure tokens. Treasures are great for this deck since we are a little bit susceptible to Blood Moon. And then, of course, the draw and discard will help us out a good deal as well. Seasoned Pyromancer is great when our hand is empty. We do want to be using all of our threats, and we have a fairly low mana curve. So Seasoned Pyromancer is going to have us discard 2 cards, then draw 2. Now, as a fun little synergy here, if we have Seasoned Pyromancer out on the battlefield and we have a flipped Fable, if our hand is empty, we have a guaranteed 2 cards each turn with the new Seasoned Pyromancer. So that's really cool as well. We also have 2 copies of Sheoldred up at the top end. This is a great card, really punishing in the format, so that's good to have. Land base is fairly straightforward. We've got 1 of each of the basics. We've got Blackcleave Hit, Cliffs, Blood Crypt, Blooming Marsh, Copperline Gorge, some Stomping Ground, and then the fetch lands in the appropriate colors, so Bloodstained Mire and Wooded Foothills. Let's go ahead and see how this deck does. Alright, opponent goes first, and this is a pretty good starting hand, so I'm going to go ahead and keep. We'll have a couple of different options. We can either respond to a turn 1 play here, or let's see, I think we're going to start with Deathrite Shaman. That's going to be really good for us. We'll play out Bloodstained Mire, and that's going to give us Bowmaster's Lightning Bolt or Bowmaster's Fatal Push, with Deathrite Shaman exiling the land. So we'll just pass. 2 forests. Alright, so we're gonna activate here on the Mire. Let's see. We'll get a strictly black land, save a little bit of life, not that it matters. Bowmasters. This is gonna resolve, they'll draw a card. They do play out the cave and gain the life, but Bowmasters does get that second trigger, and we do get a 2/2 here. Lots of land drops. Yep. We'll exile this. Pick red. I'm just gonna bolt face here. Get some extra damage through. See. You can go Foothills Sheoldred. I do kind of like that. Let's go Blood Crypt. Sheoldred. Sorry, I guess we have to exile first. Black. There we go, Sheoldred. Swing for 2. Draw a card, lose 2. Down at 15. Uro. Okay, that's not bad. I was expecting a Primeval Titan, but this means they don't have that right now. Deathrite Shaman can exile it from a graveyard. They draw a card, so we ping down the copy here. That's gonna make attacking easier for us next turn. Uro goes into the graveyard. Arboreal Grazer we could take care of with Lightning Bolt. Alright, let's go here. Exile Uro. Gain 2 life. Bolt the Grazer. We could have Fatal Pushed as well. But Fatal Push will eventually be an answer to Uro, so I do want to hold on to it. Opponent at 8. We're holding up Fatal Push here. Down to 6. Again, Primeval Titan would be a great draw for them. Alright, and we've got it! Alright, well, here we are going first, and this is actually a pretty good starting hand, so we'll go ahead and keep. Let's see, I do want to start with Deathrite Shaman, so let's go Wooded Foothills. See, we'll grab a Blood Crypt. Play out the Deathrite Shaman. Next turn we'll have access to 3 mana, so we can play out the Fable. That'll be strong. If our opponent plays a fetch land, that's even better for us. Forest, Grazer, Breeding Pool, probably. Nope, Field of the Dead. Alright. Early ramp. You can also Bolt Ragavan, but I think we're just gonna go ahead, pick red here, get our Fable out. This is gonna be a strong start. You can get another Fable out after this. Oko, sure. If Oko turns our Shaman into a 3/3, that's actually pretty good. Let's see. Do I care? I actually think I'm happy with where I'm at, so we're gonna keep everything. Let's play out another Fable. We'll attack like this. On attack, we make a treasure. Use the treasure to kill the Grazer. This stops the blocks. Things are actually looking pretty good for us. Bowmasters and Ragavan isn't bad here. Ragavan we might want to get rid of with the second Fable, but we still have a little bit to decide.
is enchanting.
Ah, gotcha. Natural order. That's really good for our opponent. Fortunately for us, they're not going to be making their Field of the Dead tokens just yet. Exiles our graveyard, that's fine. Stomping Ground. Let's see. Ragavan's not going to be able to get through. Do I want the Stomping Ground for a 4th land? I actually don't think so. We'll discard both of those. Keep the Bowmasters, just in case. Lily is exactly what we needed here. Sacrifice. Now we'll move to combat. We'll get 2 treasures. Now we can either play out Tarmogoyf here or Bowmasters. I want to play out the Tarmogoyf. So let's see what we got. Creature, Planeswalker, Sorcery, Instant, Land. If we lose our Reflection, that gives us Enchantment. That would be pretty good. Alright, so let's see. What's the best thing to do here? I think we're going to... Reflection Tarmogoyf. Attack with the Tarmogoyf. And both of these for some extra treasures. Now we'll see if they actually block with Primeval Titan. If they do, they're going to be in a much worse spot. But I'm incentivizing board-wide blocks. Yep. Bowmasters. Paying him down for 1. Now we go Bowmasters. Again. Hit again. And then we start plussing Lily, having our opponent discard. Perfect. Enchantment in the graveyard. Tarmogoyf is a 6/7. Next turn we'll get 2 more Tarmogoyfs. With the reflections and be able to attack. We can also use Deathrite Shaman to get some extra damage if we need to. But we do have to be careful about the typing. Honestly, Deathrite Shaman is going to be best for gaining life. We don't have the green land right now, but that's okay. If they do play a single big creature, we can take care of it with Lily. Okay, Karn. What can they find for 4 mana? That's going to be a big problem. I don't know, Needle on Reflection? It's probably what you have to do here. Yeah. That is the best choice. We do still have lethal, though, so depending on what this card is, if it's not a land, I think we've got it. We'll ping like that. And we've got it. Alright, going first here. This is a fine starting hand, we'll keep it. Turn 1, Ragavan. Bobble. Bobble. Take a look at what our opponent's gonna draw. Watery Grave. Take a look at what we're gonna draw. Lightning Bolt. Bloodstained Mire. Yep. I think we're off to a pretty good start. If our opponent plays a blocker, we can use Lightning Bolt. Gonna start hitting with Ragavan. They play that tapped. So let's attack with Ragavan first. Glimpse the Unthinkable. Yeah, so there's really no reason for me to use that. Let's go Bloodstained Mire. What do I want to grab here? I think I grab a Blood Crypt. We'll hold up Bowmaster's Lightning Bolt. And use that to ping down some of their early creatures. This is probably a self-mill deck. And if it's a deck that's trying to mill us, then, well, I'd be a little surprised. Alright, well. We'll just throw out Bowmasters here. While it's safe, we lose the Ragavan, and that's fine. It got us a treasure token. Let's activate here. I think we're gonna go for a pretty big turn. We'll grab Stomping Grounds. Play out a Tarmogoyf. I'm gonna Bowmaster for the extra damage on the token. Swing out. We have our opponent down at 10. We have guaranteed 6 damage off the Lightning Bolts next turn. So Citrus Supplier blocks Tarmogoyf. That's 4 damage. 4 and 6 is 10. They'll need another creature. Bloodghast can't block, so we've got it. Alright everyone, I hope you enjoyed. So as we saw, we get a lot of value out of Jund here. Now we might be splashing green only for Tarmogoyf and Deathrite Shaman, but both of those cards are certainly worth it since Tarmogoyf becomes an insane threat in the late game with the full graveyards, and Deathrite Shaman gives us a ton of incremental value over the course of the game. Of course, the super low mana curve here gives us a lot of options in the early game as well. Again, Bobble is good for just taking a look at what our opponent has. We have a lot of interaction with Lightning Bolt and pushes. We've got the Thoughtseize to deal with our opponent's hand as well, so all of that's really good. One of the things I would say is definitely be careful of Blood Moon. You do want to have at least a black land in play. If you think your opponent's going to be playing a Blood Moon, we can actually kind of go without green, believe it or not, just because we have lots of ways of making treasures and things like that, but you definitely do want at least 1 black mana so we can still get out some of our other interaction first. Now, if you guys have been enjoying my content, make sure you subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on my latest videos, and if you do enjoy this video, make sure you give it a like. Now, if you guys have any ideas for another deck that you'd like to see me play, why don't you let me know in a comment down below. I'll see you all next time.